I was 22 when this happened. I had been living on my own since I was 20 in a small, isolated house far from town. I loved hunting and being in nature. I worked at a gas station and did some side jobs, and eventually I managed to buy a cabin in the forest. I thought I could finally live a relaxed life. The cabin was far from the main road and pretty isolated. I had to buy food supplies and go back to town every 2 weeks. The cabin seemed calming, and the surroundings were peaceful. The previous owners assured me there were no dangerous wild animals around, only rabbits and foxes. I didn't mind, since I was a hunter. One day I decided to go hunting. At first, everything seemed normal. The forest had its own rhythm, birds chirping, fresh air filling my lungs. But as I walked deeper into the woods, I felt a strange sensation, one that still haunts me to this day. It was as if someone was always behind me, moving whenever I moved so the leaves would cover their footsteps. I told myself it was just my imagination. I hadn't slept well that night. I spotted a few rabbits but couldn't catch them. I wasn't feeling well, and my concentration was off. As night began to fall, I decided to head back to the cabin. When I arrived, I noticed the front door was unlocked and the curtains were wide open. I immediately sensed something was wrong. Someone had broken in. I gripped my shotgun tightly, ready for whoever was inside. But the cabin was empty. No trace of anyone. I didn't panic, thinking it might have been a passerby or hitchhikers who mistook it for an abandoned cabin. I slept on the couch that night, though my dreams were uneasy, as if someone was circling the cabin. At 4 a.m., I woke to the howl of a wolf. They had told me there were no dangerous animals, so I panicked slightly. I eventually fell back asleep, though the wolf's howls grew closer each night. I was too tired to investigate, but the sense of being watched persisted. The next morning, I went into the woods to hunt for dinner. I spotted a rabbit, aimed, but it stared at me strangely, almost nodding its head. For the first time, I felt bad about killing an animal, but I reminded myself it was my only meal. I shot it, took it back to the cabin, and cooked it in a pot. The rabbit soup was delicious. The rest of the day I worked around the cabin, gathering firewood and doing chores. But that night I couldn't sleep. I felt a strange remorse for killing the rabbit, which made me physically ill. When I closed my eyes, I heard a chilling wolf howl, this time extremely close. I grabbed my shotgun and ran outside, but there was no wolf in sight. I heard sounds in the bushes, aimed, and shouted for whoever it was to come out. But it was only a rabbit, behaving like the one I had killed the day before. Confused, I told it to go away. Then something strangled me from behind. I woke up. It had only been a dream. The next morning, I noticed strange marks around the cooking pot where I had prepared the rabbit, strange carvings in the dirt. I stepped outside and scanned the perimeter of the cabin. The forest was eerily quiet, too quiet. Even the birds seemed to have vanished. Every rustle of leaves made my heart jump. I felt eyes on me, though I couldn't see anyone or anything. My instincts screamed at me to leave, but I stayed frozen for a moment, trying to understand what was happening. I moved slowly along the edge of the clearing, examining the underbrush for footprints or signs of whoever, or whatever, might have been here. The ground was soft, and every step left an imprint, but nothing else disturbed the forest floor. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. Shadows seemed to shift just beyond my vision, and the wind carried faint, almost imperceptible noises, whispers or twigs snapping. I returned to the cabin several times, checking every window and door. The locks were secure, yet the hair on my arms remained on end. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination, the result of exhaustion and isolation. But the rational explanations felt hollow. Something about this place was wrong. By mid-morning, I started noticing small, subtle signs. A branch bent oddly, the dirt near the cooking area slightly disturbed again, as if someone, or something, had walked there during the night. My heart raced with every sound, and I found myself peering into the trees, straining to see movement that never fully revealed itself. The feeling of being watched grew heavier, pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. Even when I went inside to make breakfast, I could not escape the sensation. The walls of the cabin, once comforting, now felt like thin barriers between me and the forest. Each creak of the floorboards, each gust of wind rattling the windows, sent shivers down my spine. I gripped my shotgun more tightly than usual, eyes darting to every corner, every shadow. I felt eyes on me, though I couldn't see anyone or anything. My instincts screamed at me to leave, but I stayed frozen for a moment, trying to understand what was happening. That's when I realized this was not an ordinary forest, and this was not an ordinary wolf. Someone, or something, wanted me to be aware of its presence. I didn't want to stay any longer. I got into my truck and drove away. From that day on, I never even thought about going alone into the forest or hunting again.